Hey, Lou.
What's up, Patsy?
Not a whole lot.
Hey, well, I'm thinking about it because I forget. Your front door,
Mm-hmm.
my buddy said that beam runs straight across. That's why it's at 6'4". He said,
Be the top sill, wouldn't it?
he says, who probably has that door in stock? I'm like, who? There's a, going out to Laurel High School,
On the
uh,
right hand side.
right hand side. He carries a lot of that stuff, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know if you checked there or not.
No. No. Whenever and then whenever we actually started kind of fishing for names and talking to people about who's going to do it. Lisa's father had the stroke, so we pretty much just stopped everything at that point. Whenever things get a little more settled, we'll pick it back up. But hell, it might not even be till next year now. In the spring.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Master Grant's going to be on. He said, give him a few minutes, or
Okay.
or he's not going to be on. It's hard to tell.
You never know.
Uh, before before we get busy, I want to say Master Grant may or may not ask, but 30 days. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
that's what I'm
job.
going with. Huh?
Good job.
That's
How's
what
it
I'm going
going?
with. Lisa could probably tell you down to the hour, but
Well,
yeah,
they have the best memory about it.
yeah, they do.
You
But
know.
until proven otherwise, I'm going to say 30.
Okay.
I'm probably within a day or so, anyhow, right? So
Yeah, you're close.
that's close enough.
She'll say 29.
Yeah, you know what? Or 31, right? Just to do it.
Oh, jeez.
Uh, some pretty cool stuff going on over in California, um, which is really an odd thing to say sometimes. But the Guardian and CNN are both reporting California becomes the first state to require COVID vaccines for all students. And the second thing that happened today over there is yes, this is from Snopes. All registered voters in California will receive ballots by mail going forward. So basically, at this point, everybody's getting mail-in ballots. Um, let's start with the second one first. Okay, what do you think about California going all mail-in? I'm assuming they're just getting the ballots. So they can still go to the polls if they want because only one's going to count anyhow.
You know what? Look at, it's they're not mailing them out randomly. Um, you could still return to the polls. You still have to be a registered voter. I'm sure, just like Pennsylvania, I mean, how easy was it? How'd they send you a mail-in ballot? Would you have to give them birth date and license number?
Birth date, address, and some for me it was a driver's license, but it could have been a state issued ID card. It could have been a bill, something like that, something that proves your name and your location, basically.
Right, because when I had my issues, when I got a couple DUIs, I actually went to the driver's license center and got a state ID card.
Oh yeah, my wife had a state ID card for years before she started driving.
Well, that's right. She didn't have a license for a long time. So, and why can't there be a national ID like that?
You know, I always made the argument that if you're going to require a proof of identification and you're going to mandate what that proof is, okay, you're going to say, we require this to be this, or this, then you should be on the hook to make sure that somebody, well, that everybody has at least one of those forms of identification.
Well, see, that's voter suppression in the South because as soon as they do that, guess what they do? They shut down about every driver's license center in poor areas
Mm-hmm.
where you could get the voter, where you could get that ID. I have no problem with a voter ID as long as they do it across the board and the people that can't afford it, they have a social security number, they get it for free.
Well, that's and that kind of leads to my point. Whenever you are born, you don't get a bill for the social security number that was just assigned to you, right? At some point, you or your parents actually get it in the mail.
And I
Your
think
social
you
security
have to,
card.
I think you have to submit it within a month now of a birth.
Yeah, something like that, right? But there's no fee, there's no bill,
No, you send a birth certificate and what, a newspaper clipping or whatever,
something like that. Yeah,
whatever, something from the hospital, you mail it and they send you a card.
yeah. You have an official something from the hospital. You have the birth certificate. Uh, they'll even take a baptism certificate.
Yeah, the big thing is they say, well, with their big pushback, Republicans, just like we talked about. Well, Democrats say you don't need an ID. Well, you know what? That would be a very easy talking point. Tell you what, you get the vote. Here's the voting. You agree to a free ID based on a social security number, and we're good with it.
We're good.
Open the
We're
polling
good.
places. That's half the battle.
Right.
What do? Shut down the polling places, shut down where you could get an ID. Yeah, Texas, you can have a stinking ID for a firearm, but they won't take a student ID at a
Well, you could
university.
use your NRA card as a form of identification.
Yeah, but you can't use a student identification card if you go to the University of Austin or something.
Right. Do you believe that?
Yeah,
Believe that? Yeah. An NRA card. Lou, I could sign you up tomorrow. Have the card sent to my house. And all of a sudden, as far as that card's concerned, I'm Lou. And
yeah,
I can go vote with that.
yeah.
And that's fine. Nothing at all wrong with it. I would like to see the federal government just issue a federal identification card.
I'd say it's long past due, truthfully.
Just issue a federal ID card and encourage states to use it for for voter ID or for whatever they want. Now, obviously, they can't mandate it or force it on anybody because um, uh, elections are local, right? They're state run, which is a good thing, and I don't think that should ever change. Uh, but I think that there should be some sort of oversight that really isn't there. If you're going to start mandating these things, you're going to start mandating this voter stuff like they're doing in Texas, like they're doing in Georgia. It better pass through the federal government first, and then you can implement it. And then if somebody wants to challenge it in court, they can. But that federal hurdle, should be there first, and then we can go on. But I think that should be the first thing, right? And the federal government says no, then let the states sue the federal government to have them allowed to do it. But at least have that hurdle there. You're not strong arming anything. It's just a check and balance, is all it is. What do you think? Good idea?
Yes, probably it's not a bad idea. I mean, you got to get rid of the gerrymandering and the suppression. You need to get rid of the state gerrymandering for the local districts. Look at Pennsylvania. Look at Michigan, Wisconsin.
Ohio, look at Jim Jordan's district.
Well, I'm talking as far as like Chris Sonata's district.
Oh yeah, yeah,
These locals,
yeah. Well, your state representatives.
state reps. That's
Yeah,
who determines a lot of the election stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, all elections are local, right?
I mean, you have who knows what's going to happen the next go around without that law getting passed.
Yeah,
Because you're going to have people that are going to get in there that are not honest.
right.
Whether you're going to get a lot of areas where I don't care. You've always had whether it was Republican or Democrat. You could trust them. How about now?
No, no. Yeah, there was Lou. It wasn't all that long ago, right? It wasn't all that long ago that whenever it came to a local election, as far as who was running it or whatever, we didn't. You really didn't care who it was. You really didn't because, in all honesty, it didn't matter. You were gonna vote. You were confident that the vote was going to count. That there wasn't going to be any shenanigans. That you weren't going to be dicked around. That it didn't matter who was running it. I never cared. Be honest, I couldn't even tell you who the hell it was. I mean, when I first started voting, I lived in town. When we got married, the first time we got to vote, whenever we got married, we were in Union Township, and now obviously now we're out here in Mayberry. I couldn't tell you who was running it, who ran it, any municipality I ever lived in.
Oh, here you go. What if the next county election supervisor was Russ Hall? Would you trust that?
No, no, I wouldn't. No chance. But the thing is, even with the people who are running for supervisor now out here, I'd probably trust anybody they appointed, or I don't even know if it's voted on, or if they're appointed.
I can't
I
remember.
can't either. But assuming they're appointed, all three supervisors could be Republican for all I care. In fact, they're probably going to be.
Actually, I thought it was an election for each um, precinct.
I honestly don't know. But I'm
I,
saying even if it wasn't, and they appointed somebody, I'd be fine with whoever they appointed. And if we go to elect them, it's better. I'm even more finer or whatever. But if any one of those three said we're going to appoint Joe Blow, okay, wouldn't bother me a bit.
Master Grant, do you trust your local election official?
I do.
Is it a Republican? You're like, yeah, and you don't have any problem with them, right?
So there's a bit. With everything that's going on, it made me hesitate. But I still want to believe in the integrity that this is so fundamental to that. I want to, even if I'm suspending my disbelief, I want to believe.
Well, let me ask both of you a question. Because believe it or not, I feel this. I still believe that the integrity is there at the local level, but I'm curious: is it simply because it's at the local level and you can look at that person, you can see who that person is, you can stand there right next to them. There's no separation. Is that why you feel confident in them? Because in a lot of ways, you're holding them accountable, like right there in front of you.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much you know who they are.
Yeah,
Or your neighbor knows them.
your name's familiar. Been out here as long as Lou has. Then probably went to high school with them, or something like that, right? I mean, you went to Union, but you know what I'm saying, right? Or your kids went to school with them, or they were on the school board or something like that, but you probably know the name. Maybe they were supervisors at one time. You know, so yeah, and I think you have that confidence in that person or that trust in that person because you know who they are. You could point them out. Well, that's so and so. He's the guy that runs our elections, right? I think that's why Sonata keeps winning. To be honest with you, Lou.
Yeah, I'm answering an email. I knew one would come in here after 5 on. I had two come late. I'm like Master Grant, got to jump off.
All right.
But no, I'm here. Let me answer her and ruin her weekend.
You got to tell them that 16-week lead time, Lou. It's bad, man.
We're waiting. We're waiting for another shipment to go into somebody. They have production shut down. So,
Lou, I told somebody yesterday. Whenever we're done, I'll tell you who it was. That we have a container floating close to a dock and another container in the middle of the Pacific. That's on its way. That's going to be stacked up waiting.
yep.
It's horrible. It's horrible. The second part of that, let's go back to the where we started. We can get Master Grant in this one too. California today became the first state to require COVID vaccines for all students. All students. If you were if you were in a school, a university, an elementary school, kindergarten, you must be vaccinated. Good idea, bad idea.
Well, do you know why there's no COVID spread in San Francisco in the high schools?
Because they're all virtual.
No, they're 92%. They're 92% vaccinated, ages 12 to 18.
So I would say you're in favor of it then.
Well, you in favor of a polio vaccine, mumps, rubella, tetanus, whooping cough, measles, chicken pox? I had some of them diseases because there were no vaccines way back.
Yeah.
Master Grant, you have measles and chicken pox?
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the chicken pox, guess what my mother did? Stuck my brother in the room with me so he got him before he went to school.
That's right.
You know what? That's what my brother got, and I ended up. I was right with him.
The truth, I mean, seriously.
Well, you know, if you listen to these anti-vaxxers, that's what we should be doing with the COVID patients.
Yeah, but the death rate's a little higher.
Yeah, there are not too many people that die from chicken pox.
My new boss, early 30s, said I ain't getting a vaccine. Guess where he's been the past week after he made a trip last week?
Quarantine.
Yeah, sick. Sounds terrible. He's living on Pedialyte and NyQuil.
Auto and the libs.
It's the
Master
story.
Grant, good idea or bad idea?
It's just the same thing over and over. I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm not blah blah, and then they're in the hospital over and over and over again. We hear this. And it's like, I guess I should have gotten vaccinated. It's like people. Unfortunately, because we politicized this and made it a political weapon. Now it's like it's like just as bad as it's just Democrat versus Republican. It's just, and so people are doing it just because of the party lines, and that's what's a shame because. If this was spun like, okay, hey guys, guess what? Everybody in high school gets vaccinated. That means we're not canceling any high school football games. How many people do you think could get their kids vaccinated then? 95%. It's just.
Yeah, I think there's at least four games canceled over in Youngstown tonight.
Yeah.
The last I saw.
And the other thing is that. These schools are just, germ factories. They're they're bad as hospitals. Holy cow, when you got somebody living with a young one, it's like every other week you're sick. Stomach flu, head cold, earache. It's just a constant changing and swapping and, it's like a nightmare. And
we
so,
we all we all had kids in kindergarten, elementary school, and so on and so forth. How many times did they get sick, come home sick,
and I
and
was sick, I
ended up
was sick
giving
all
it
the
to all of
time.
us, right?
You were
All
sick
the
all the
time,
time. Every other week you got something.
right? Right. I mean, my wife works in a prison. You know how many times she came home sick in 27 years?
So,
It's like every 6 weeks she was home with something else.
well, I get the logic of, look, let's just let everybody have the COVID and we'll be done with it. But unfortunately, I mean, it sounds nice, but there's two problems with it. The first problem is that there's a higher risk of death and hospitalization. So it's not a simple matter of, it's
No.
just okay, get sick, get over with. That's number one. But number two is that the COVID mutates. So sure, you may get COVID once, and then you're going to get it again because it's changed, and so you'll get sick again. Maybe the second time, you're not going to be so lucky, right? So you're really playing roulette. Um,
And that's the sad part of it is if you are counting on natural immunity, you had COVID. Okay, so now you have the antibodies. Well, you're still allowing this thing to continue to live and grow and mutate. So, Master Grant, you might be safe, but Lou's in even more trouble now than he was whenever you got it because it just mutated into something worse, right?
And you know what? And that doesn't even take into account the long-term effects. How many? I know a number of people that are um, heart damage, permanent lung damage,
Lungs, yeah.
um, consistent tiredness, fatigue. They're not back to normal. I mean,
Oh,
they talk about a labor shortage. How many of those people are not able to do a job right now?
yeah, it's not a
You're
matter
up
of
to
lung.
you're up to 700,000 deaths. How many of those were workers? At this rate, you're still going to get There's a good chance you could catch 1 million by Christmas.
Right. And why can't you fill the void over there at Duncan? Well, because some of those 700,000 were working there because they were the only people that were going to work there. That was it. For some reason, they could handle it. They could tolerate it, or it didn't bother them, or whatever it is. I can't tell you how many times I've told somebody, "Look, you can pay me $20 an hour. There's no way in hell I'd work at Dunkin'.
Well, that's just it. And how
Not
many of
here."
those? And okay, and how many of the people that were working at Dunkin' and at PO Lunch or the Crane Room at 213 an hour plus tips, all of a sudden says, "What do you mean? There's an opening here for 15 an hour, and I don't have to worry about losing money on a snowy day."
Or not,
They're
or not
never
getting,
going
or not
back.
getting my tips,
And guess what? They're not putting up with the BS from customers that
or
aren't
management,
tipping
or management.
or management.
As I'm telling you, Lou, that the one downtown is the worst managed Dunkin' I've ever seen in my life. Has been for years. It's horrible. Master Grant, are you in favor of the uh, vaccinations being required for students?
well, we have a precedent, right? Measles, mumps, those are required vaccinations. You can't go to school without them. So uh, I feel that if people who are in the health industry, if they deem that yes, this should be a required vaccination, I'm for it. I really don't know. That's where I'd have to kind of rely on people who are medical professionals, right? People who are trained in the field to give sound advice, not political advice, and sound medical advice. And if they say this should be a required vaccination, just like the others, well, that should be. I mean, it's the health of the children. It's not I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. Screw you guys. I'm doing what I want. No, you gotta. It's the health of the children. So
Well, I agree. You
It's
know,
the age of disinformation too. They use all kinds of. I'm religiously exempt. Well, if you're Catholic, you can't claim that because the Pope said you got to get one if you work for him, right? Didn't they just announce that this past weekend?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, okay. If you're Catholic in this country, you just got kicked in the ass with that one.
And that's a pretty good chunk. And how many of them are MAGAs? How many of them are Republican? Probably most, right?
Most. Well, because of abortion. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what we're going to do after the newly reformed Catholic Church.
Vatican III.
Vaccine's not required.
I promise you, if the U.S. bishops had their way, they would. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. I don't even want to start with those
Yeah,
goofballs.
I mean, you didn't have disinformation when the polio vaccine came in,
No.
or some of these others. It's like, hey, guess what? We can help your kids from being disabled for life.
Speaking of
So,
which, speaking of which, YouTube, which we are one of the platforms that we are streaming on as we speak, is banning vaccine information or misinformation, I should say. You guys know we got a strike because we got very sarcastic in one of our shows and ended up getting a YouTube strike.
what were we sarcastic about?
COVID.
Well, hard to say.
It was about COVID. When I asked for it, you could get a human review, and then like an hour later, it came back and said, "Yeah, you still got the strike." I'm like, "There's no fucking way you give a human review. No, if you answer me in an hour, come on, we're an hour. Our show's an hour. There's no way." So anyhow, we got a strike on it, and they will. They're just taking it down. If there's any kind of misinformation, it's taking it down. You get taken down 3 times, you're blocked. You're done. You can't. Your channel's dead. No one will ever see it again. Uh why? What? 18 or 20 months after this whole thing started, are they doing it now? Why the fuck weren't they doing this from day one?
Good question.
Why not? Master Grant, what do you think? Why did they wait? Because I have a moral dilemma about their moral stances on these things.
I hate to say this. I just think it was ignorance of how bad it would get, how abused it would be. I truly don't think anybody could have projected this.
No, but it's gone on, and they saw it, and they've been seeing it. I mean, even Twitter would just say, this isn't correct or whatever, but they wouldn't stop it. They wouldn't take it down. They wouldn't ban it. They just said this isn't accurate. Isn't accurate. Okay. We just said 700,000 people died from this thing. That number is not accurate. It's an approximation. Okay, it's not an accurate number.
A lot of people that did studies are saying that's about 15% low
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
because
Here's
underlying factors. That's speculation too.
here's my problem. They take this stance and uh, asshole on what do you call it? Zuckerberg was big on this, right? Because you should have that freedom to express it. You should have that freedom to we should be the platform should be agnostic, is what they're saying. Okay. When does that stance of being agnostic become harmful to society? And
Yeah,
or and is your firm stance on
so
being agnostic have a role to play in that?
So let's take a look. Let's go back in time. When Donald Trump started, before he got elected, okay, when he was running as a candidate, and he was tweeting. Now, I'm going to just be honest, because I never am. I'm always
Right.
yes, but I will be honest now.
Okay, fair enough.
Lou's like just like, okay, would you just shut up? But I actually thought it was cool that Donald Trump was tweeting, and you could actually, really see his real time thoughts. I liked it. Right now, I, if I would have been able to look in the future, it would have been like, oh my gosh, somebody stop him. But I actually liked that. He was on the debate floor, and afterwards he goes, "Oh, they screw blah blah blah," and you could actually get that real time feel. So, at first I was all for it, but then it started slowly changing, and he started to utilize it as a weapon, like he would say once he got elected and was president. He started saying, "Oh, this so and so is no good, and they're ruining the country," and blah blah. And so that snowballed, and I think people started to take notice and started to replicate, and got out of hand because Donald Trump didn't. He really didn't care if what he was saying was true or not. If it met his end, if it met his goal, his purpose, he'd say it.
The end
Right.
justified the means.
So, for example, I'm just going to make something completely up, like because remember he was going against Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, doesn't know how to wipe his butt. Okay, whatever. It's just all made up, and he would just say it, and people would believe it, and then that started to catch on. That disinformation started to grow and grow and grow and snowball. So, and I don't think that the tech companies, I don't think they were scrutinizing closely.
It was somebody whose voice carried a lot of weight and had a whole lot of followers and had a whole lot of people repeating and reposting what he was saying, even though it was 100% completely false, Lou, and yet the platforms let it go. And it wouldn't have been so, I still have a problem with it either way, but it wouldn't have been so bad. But if any one of us would have said those same things and we would have originated it, we'd have get strikes. He didn't.
And
How much responsibility do these platforms shoulder?
Yeah, and then Fox News repeated it verbatim, along with Breitbart and whoever else, and perpetuated the lie.
Master Grant, you have a floor. You have a school. You have a floor. You have a student on your floor who is spreading misinformation about a technique. Okay, I'm just again we're just making something up. You have a student who literally doesn't have much of a rank at all, but even if he does, or he does, it doesn't really matter. We can go either way with this. Uh, is not only demonstrating the technique incorrectly or whatever it is, he knows he's doing it incorrectly. Okay, and one of the other students he shows this to ends up getting the snot kicked out of him. He's in the ER. He's going to end up in ICU, collapsed lung, broken bones, punctured eardrum, nose broken in a couple of places, jaw cracked, losing teeth. Do you shoulder any of that responsibilities since it was on your floor? And you knew it? You knew what he was doing was wrong and was incorrect, and you didn't step in to stop it? Do you shoulder any responsibility for that?
Morally, yes. Yeah. Morally, yes. That's right. Yeah, and I should have corrected. Absolutely.
You should have, right?
No
you knew it was wrong.
I should have. That was yeah. Now, because when you look at, I get the scenario there's so much other. I mean, were they drunk? I mean, when this whole fight took
Well,
place.
yeah, I mean, we're being
Right.
very generic, but
But in a general, generic sense, like you laid out, yeah, it would be my responsibility, because you have to root out those. Those have to be. Those are under your. So, in fact, real example. I'm not going to say names, but somebody was in position, had a, well, in had a rank, and they were undermining um, what was being taught, and they've been dismissed, asked not to come back.
mm-hmm.
And not an easy thing to do.
No,
But it's the school. It's we're going to run it this way, and if this isn't right, if you don't like it, go up the street and find somebody else.
find somebody else. Well, you have a responsibility for your students, your other students who are also on that floor, right?
Yep.
And you're not shouldering a responsibility that it has to be agreed upon, but you are shouldering a responsibility that it has to be correct or at least honest,
Mm-hmm.
right? That these platforms, Lou, just Twitter, Facebook especially, didn't care. And they're not held accountable for anything. How is that even justified?
Yeah, and there's more coming out now about a lot about like I don't want to say the younger teens, women, young girl teens. The stuff that was directed at them is pretty much what you're saying through Facebook and Instagram.
That was Blumenthal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
To give everybody a quick recap, and we're going to paraphrase a lot here because honestly, I'm not going to go try to look for it. Senator Blumenthal's office set up, was it a Twitter? No, it was an Instagram account. Oh, it's a social media network account. And it was set up as though the person who created this account was a 13-year-old girl.
I think.
And then sort of picked and choose and followed the normal, whatever they decided normal was, uh, uh, entities, people, things, whatever that a typical 13-year-old girl would choose to follow. How they came up with this, I don't know. We're just telling you what happened. And what was it? Immediately that she started seeing targeted ads for what was a self-hurting self.
Yeah, whatever ads and stuff that were directed at her were like, yeah, you know how they, let's face it, a lot of the ads geared toward women are projecting like the perfect body and you're a slug if you don't look like this or use this product. And, especially when you get a girl that age,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot to take in. And it's just, it's bad. It was bad enough without Facebook. It's worse with it.
Yep.
I had a young daughter. I know they're mean. The girls in that age group. My God, who's mad at who this week and friends the next?
Okay, so here it is. This is coming from People Magazine. Senator Blumenthal's office conducted research ahead of a hearing Thursday in order to examine the toxic effects of Facebook and Instagram on young people. With a fake account, Blumenthal's team, quote, followed a few easily findable accounts associated with extreme dieting and eating disorders. He said at the hearing, quote, within a day, its recommendations were exclusively filled with accounts that promote self-injury and eating disorders. That is the perfect storm that Instagram has fostered and created. That's the end of the quote. Facebook's global head of safety was on hand via video to answer questions by the Senate's Consumer Protection Subcommittee. She defended the company which owns Instagram, saying, "We've been working with suicide prevention experts since 2006. We also work with eating disorder experts. We don't allow promotion of either kind of content on our platform." Yet there it was. Uh, Instagram's recommendations will still latch onto a person's insecurities, a young woman's vulnerabilities about their bodies, and drag them into dark places that glorify disorders, eating disorders, and self harm, Blumenthal said. Um, Master Grant, I'd say there's a little something wrong with that algorithm. Just throwing it out
There
there.
is. There is. Let me
There's
ask,
a bit of a flaw
how
in that.
does free speech work into all of this?
In all honesty, it doesn't.
Right? It doesn't. Lou, does it?
You know what? Free speech is an opinion. That you're allowed your opinion as long as it doesn't cause harm to others. Um, to me, that would fall under that. I mean, shouldn't there be a disclaimer with those ads? May not work for all, or this is, or worded in a different way so they don't make them feel like shit.
Free speech is only something that is recognized and um, protected by the federal government or by government. It has nothing to do with a private entity. They literally could, whenever you sign up, there could be that user agreement that nobody reads that says you will never say the word damn. DAM, not even the curse, just damn, like a beaver dam. And as soon as you do, they can throw you out. There's not a damn DAMN thing you can do about it because you agreed to it. So no, there is no free speech anything on these things.
So right, you are. Yeah, so we're basically asking these companies to police themselves. And you got money involved, profits involved. These companies have payrolls they got to pay,
Mm-hmm.
salaries they got to
Big
pay,
ones.
big ones.
Yeah.
You know, there's a yeah, they're not going to be policing very well.
No, it's not in their best interest. So what's the solution, Lou?
Well, you know what? When you rip regulations out from underneath everything every so many years with a stroke of a pen because of the almighty dollar, I mean, how do you write things with teeth in it? I mean, you could say it's over regulation, but you know what? That's why we have seatbelts. Um, it's why OSHA's there because there is was no self regulation. You know, people used to fall off the top of railroad boxcars and they didn't give a shit and get killed because it was all about money and stopping the train. Every boxcar had the brake wheel on it before they had air brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Carnegie's air brakes saved thousands of lives. There was no OSHA. Oh, fell off, lost a leg, tough shit. Looks like you're starving.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and that's why, like, when you look at history, unions became so strong was just for those reasons, right? To protect the workers and all. And, it's they of course, those been our grandparents and some of our parents but those unions now are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
And
Look at all the years of them saying unions are no good. And by the way, it was George Westinghouse, not Andrew Carnegie, that invented the air brake. In case anybody wants to correct me.
Too late.
yeah, so I'm sorry, but to get to the point, um, digital intellectual property is going to be so hard to because you're always going to be behind.
Yep.
Things change so rapidly. Even like when you look at Facebook's going the way of MySpace. It was the hottest. It's going away. People are leaving in droves. And it's going to become a MySpace. Just a what like MySpace.
Yeah.
Remember that? Do you remember what was it? What was the big popular browser that everybody had to have? Was it
Netgear.
Netscape
Netscape.
Navigator?
Netscape.
Yeah, Netscape Navigator and
Netscape Navigator. Yeah.
America Online. I mean,
AOL. Yeah.
and those are gone. They're
Right.
done.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a AOL CD, right? You couldn't.
Yeah, yeah.
They were throwing them things at you at baseball games and stuff.
Uh
So, oh gosh, and now look at them. You know,
huh.
and so that's so if you write laws for America Online, by the time they're really enacted and enforced, that
It's
software's
gone.
gone.
It's gone. Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this: Facebook lasted a lot longer than any other platform has, right? Especially social. I mean, I believe MySpace is still up and running.
Mhm.
Uh, so what? I guess, right? So what?
Seriously, it is?
I don't know. I'm 50% convinced it is. Uh, oh wait, is it?
Son of a bitch, it is.
Yeah, you can go to America Online. There's still America
Yeah, there's
Online.
still AOL. Yeah, it's more of a website now, but yeah. Well, look at Yahoo, right? Yahoo's still around and kicking.
Yahoo's still around. Like these things are still around. It's just, but their importance isn't. And like so,
Yeah.
Facebook is dying, right? It's going to be gone in about 5 years. It's going to be like
Well,
that.
let me ask both of you: the fact that Facebook has lasted so long, do you think it's just because there's so many boomers on it? And let's face it, that's the biggest part of our population.
Yes,
Do you think that's why?
yes.
Because I don't know too many people, well, older than the boomer generation that's on it. And I don't know anybody or very few of our generation that's actually on it, or at least active on it. Almost everybody in our generation has an account. I don't know too many people that actually use it. And then, like, the millennials kind of pulled away from it, and Gen X's don't even want to think about it. Or Gen Z's, I'm sorry, we're Gen X. Lou, what do you think it's because there's so many boomers on it?
That has a lot to do with it because, I mean, truthfully, it is easy to operate. Um, and how many people, well, I was going to say, I think it's easy to operate, but you know what? When I was on it, I used to see, like, my God, you don't even have privacy settings. I could find out where the hell you're going in 10 minutes from now with the shit you're putting on there or unintentionally putting on, you know.
Naively putting on.
It's just, it was there. I think the original intention wasn't bad. I mean, oh, you know what? There's Joe and his kids that live out in Oregon now. Let's face it, you didn't like him enough to actually call him, but you'll be his friend on
On
Facebook.
Facebook, right?
Seriously.
And you know what? You know what I think the biggest reason so many people are on it though is because, like, you could have like your community's page, right? So like everybody out here in Mayberry can there's like the Mayberry group, right? So you can like see what's going on with everything, and it's good for like school closings, bake sales, when the next PTA meeting is, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's what
There is a lot. There was a lot of that. I mean, I think our church even had one for a while. You'd post a golf outing. There's a dinner. There's
bingo's
Sunday.
canceled, right?
Yeah,
Bingo's canceled. You only had to put it up on Facebook.
yeah.
So it did serve a purpose, Master Grant. The problem we're having is, well, it's twofold. Well, the biggest problem we're having with keeping Facebook around is these people that are in these groups and using it so much aren't dying off quick enough.
Well, you know what? You think about it, people are getting the news from it.
Or what they perceive as news.
What they
Okay,
perceive
you
as
know what?
news.
I did my COVID research on a Facebook meme.
Yeah. Facebook University.
Really.
I can't tell you to this day how many people I work with say, well, I saw on Facebook, yada, 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 yada. Right? Or they try to hide it and they say, well, I saw on someplace. Well, where'd you see it? Oh, it was in my feed. What feed? My
Did you
Facebook.
just see what Rudy Giuliani said yesterday or the day before? Where'd you get your information about the election being stolen? Well, Facebook, but I didn't check it out.
Yeah.
And that's Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, that's somebody you would think
America's mayor.
should be checking things out, right? That's in that sphere. So
What
if you
makes me
guys said
want?
to me,
Yeah.
if you guys said to me, hey Grant, I heard Oracle NetSuite is going to move all their systems over to China. You know, I'd check that out because that's my bread and butter.
It's kind of what you do, right?
You know, so yeah, I'd dive right into that and try to, is this, calling friends and fix it. So you would think that Rudy Giuliani would have done that, but I guess doesn't really care. Well, but then again, they were all. Well, that's not a good example because they were all in the.
Yeah, they were all in cahoots anyhow.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
It's just ridiculous. Some of the stuff I've seen on there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, you actually think that's real?
Mm-hmm. Of course it is. Of course it's real.
Remember when they used to do the way back copy and paste? If you don't copy and paste this, all your information's gonna go here and there, and your dog's gonna die and get hit by a car or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
People used to do that, and I started making things up just to see if anybody read them.
How many people read them?
Less than what you'd think. They'd repost it. I'm like, oh my God, you're an idiot.
So basically it was, oh, Luke did this, so I'm just reposting it.
Yeah, because I think I posted one time, to help prevent winter colds. Make sure at the first week in October you shove 3 cloves of garlic up your ass every Monday till November and put it on there.
You never did answer my email. I asked you about that. I said, it's been 2 weeks and I don't feel any better.
And I had somebody put on there, is that true? I said, yeah, it's on Facebook.
Oh my gosh, you're bad.
I mean, I got a meme generator on my smartphone. I could make anything up and post it on Twitter.
Oh, excuse me. Oh my God. You know what? I was going to go on on one more, but I think maybe this is a good place to stop. Unbelievable. Garlic, huh?
You know what? It's good for you.
Shove a couple cloves of garlic up your ass. It'll stop the flu. Who needs a shot?
Do you guys remember that was what's that? Oh, that movie with it was the high school kid. He was real nerdy. He had the alpaca.
He had the what?
The alpaca was in the movie. Shoot, and he had blonde hair and just 90s, 2000. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, what the funny part about it was his uncle got from the internet a time traveling machine, which was basically a car battery and 2 things that you had to attach to your nipples. You threw the switch, you could go back in time. And he kept doing it. It says here, it doesn't work. Keep positioning until you get it right.
I think I'm trying to remember what that was.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. Vote for Pedro.
I prefer dude, where's my car? But that's another story.
That was good too. Oh my god. This is where we're gonna kill it, okay? Folks, we will not be here next week. Okay. Will we, Mr. Grant?
We will not.
No. Master Grant and I will be on the floor. Doing unspeakable things to willing, naive people. Who, let's
I
face it,
got
by
all
this
kinds
time
of
should know
stories of
better.
what we're doing next
Don't
Friday.
worry, it won't hurt too
I've been
bad.
told to come in my bathing suit. I got no idea what you got planned.
I know you don't. Uh,
Just don't bring the garlic.
just don't bring it up. Lou, every time I step on the floor, and people get these big eyes whenever I start showing them things, and I promise them the same thing. I always tell them, folks, look, I promise you, this isn't going to hurt me a bit.
This is good.
Never does either, does it?
Never does. I've never lied to them. So we will be back in 2 weeks. Lou, you should come down next week. We'll go to dinner afterwards. What do you think, Master Grant?
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you. What time you going?
Well, class starts at 5?
6.
6 to 7:30. Then we'll go eat afterwards. We'll be home by 10ish.
I'll talk to you this week. Doesn't sound like a bad idea.
It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be nice. You can see us at our best.
Hey, I was a scorekeeper for one of your events.
That's right, my tournament. Yes, you were. Yeah, you were. Yeah. That was a good one. We raised $3,000 for her. You know that.
I know.
Yeah,
It's a
you did a
good
job.
good fundraiser.
That was what was it? What was the name? Giveno?
Bonji, yeah, Ashley Bonjaviga. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as
Yeah,
I know,
no,
she's good. She's as normal can be.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks, God.
So it was time, money, a whole lot of headaches and aggravation well spent. It really was. I'll tell you the truth, Master Grant, of all the things that I've done in the arts, that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of. Because we really did make a difference. So I'm to this day still very, very proud of that. So everybody, we will be back in 2 weeks. 2. I don't know. We should probably set up a camera down at the school for it. Oh, never mind. But we will be back then. So everybody, thank you very much. We will see you in 2 weeks. Same bad time, same bad channel. Until then, everybody, please, thank you. Goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.